Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Arkin Brothers Talk About Movies. I'm Matthew Arkin. That's my brother, Anthony Arkin. Tonight we are talking about 1995's Vampire in Brooklyn, starring Eddie Murphy, Angela Bassett, Alan Payne, Kadeem Hardison, John Witherspoon, Zake Smokey, Joanna Cassidy, W. Earl Brown, and Simba Kali. It's directed by Wes Anderson. No, Wesley Snipes. No, Wes Craven. It was directed by Wes Craven, and we're going to talk about it because this movie,
It's a movie.
Does it bite? Does it suck? Is it a pain in the neck? We'll find out right after this.
Talking about cocktails that are stylish, movies great or phony, and how Tony should win a Matthew, and Matthew should win a Tony. But in the meantime, talking about film in the meantime, the Arkin brothers talk about movies.
Whoa, some special effects in the title sequence.
I like that, and I like Halloween time. I like Halloween time.
And did you see what I did there in my little pun? I'm going to work the puns into the cold opening there.
I think that the punning is, as I said before, a big reason we've seen an increase in our audience since you've been punning.
7 to 8 people.
Right. Well, it's only from 7 to 8, and after the puns stop, they stop listening.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
You're lying.
It's great to see you. I think we've both had a stressful day, perhaps a stressful week.
I think you call it a stressful year, stressful life. We've had stressful lives.
I'm open to that interpretation of it. I feel it. And you have a very refreshing looking drink.
Yeah, there you go. That's my drink in the movie there. This is the bubbly vampire. This drink, I call it the bubbly vampire.
I love it. Wow.
Blood red, Campari, Batch 22, and Club Soda. That's all you need.
That sounds like my kind of mixed beverage because it's simple, it's straightforward, and it's really hard to mess it up. Like you could add a little more or less of one of them and it wouldn't really matter, right?
Yeah, the proportion. So you could just keep adding club soda to it.
You can put 2 bottles in your mouth and just tilt your head back.
You can actually put your head. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say something about your head and a soda stream, but then somebody might try it and we get sued. Do not put your head in the soda stream.
Don't do that. Don't do any of the things that we say or do.
I already have a coffin of my own.
Including watching the movies that we recommend or don't recommend.
Oftentimes not recommended to do.
We're not recommending them. All we say in our defense, all we say is that we're going to watch this movie next week and we're going to talk about it. I don't think we didn't recommend this movie, did we?
No, nobody recommended it, and not to say we won't at the end of it or will. I'm not saying that. You have to.
It could happen.
You have to listen to the show to find out if we say that.
Yeah, and if people don't know our jam on this show, we don't talk about the movies with each other after we watch them and before the show. So for all we know,
for instance, I have no idea the level of lack of interest Matthew's going to have in this movie.
I think you do.
You was snoring.
There's a range that it could fit into, though. I think
you were snoring. I did not snore during this movie. I will say that. I was interested, very interested, and suddenly I lost interest.
No interest at all. Suddenly,
to quote my favorite Kevin Nealon.
That's
sketch.
A really funny sketch.
It's a great sketch. Maybe we should talk about that because then we'd be talking about something that was funny.
It's a little off color, though. Maybe
is.
We won't start with that.
We won't start with that. It might be. We might have to get 5 or 6 minutes into the show before parents realize what their kids are watching and pull them away from the computer.
It's true. We don't want to cause family strife. There's enough family strife just on the show.
Sometimes there's, yeah. Sometimes
Last week
if we
was
were,
stressful.
yeah. If we were married, we'd be getting divorced on the show. Like it would be like
That
a
would be a
Kardashian thing.
great show. That's a good. We should think about getting married just so we could do the divorce on the show.
We can do the so stressful week. And anything interesting happen this week?
Gosh, yes, but nothing I can really talk about tonight. I will be talking about what happened this week next week. I will say this. I was planning and prepping a project for many months with some very, very close friends. And we were going to start this project this weekend. And everything was very, very, very ready to go. And some money had been spent to get to this place and do this thing. And now we can't do it.
That's not good.
So, and it wasn't a great day.
That's how I feel right there.
That was the day I had. Yeah, it sounds oblique. I can't explain more, but suffice it to say, it was disappointing. You look tired, but
I'm so tired.
You look well. Maybe it's the orange background is giving you a nice glow, but you look good.
I look. Maybe I should always have an orange background behind me.
I'm fine. All right, I'm absolutely fine.
Good. And drink a blood red drink.
Yeah, it suits you. Notable events this week.
Notable events. I'm still watching The Bear. I think
Okay.
I might watch the last episode of that tonight.
I need to see the rest of it.
It's pretty spectacular. Doesn't make me want to work in a kitchen.
No thing I've ever seen on television makes me want to go work in a kitchen. Really,
No.
it's hard.
But,
That looks like too hard and too many people screaming at me. I think they'd be
Because you
screaming.
little scared piece of shit.
But I have been adopting some of the lingo from the show in my real life, like saying corner, behind, yes, chef, heard. I find myself, people say,
Heard.
can you do the thing heard? Yeah, I mean, it's an efficient way to go through your life.
When you say behind, what are you talking about?
It's when somebody walks by on the street, I say behind, and then I get in trouble.
Not when you see somebody else's behind, you don't shout that.
No, it's like
Just
today. I
curious.
was
In the kitchen.
I woke up early. I spent the night last night at a friend's house up in LA because I was up in LA till quite late last night and stayed. One of our investors has offered me their little backyard casita so that when I need to be up in LA for business stuff, I can crash there instead of having to do the drive all the time. So I
Right.
got up early this morning and was walking to Starbucks, and the Starbucks was up a few stairs. And as I was coming out of the
Right.
Starbucks with the cup of coffee, a guy was coming up the stairs. So he was below me, and I'm holding the door from him, and he goes, he says, "Thank you, your flies." Thank you, your flies unzipped. I was like,
Maybe I am going crazy.
yeah. So it was a great moment knowing that I'd been walking down Sunset Boulevard for about 10 blocks at 6:30 in the morning with my fly unzipped, which actually made me fit right in.
Probably,
most
yeah.
of the people.
No one
Yeah.
would have known the difference. But it also, it's the kind of when that happens, because there's times where after a few minutes you'll be talking to somebody. This happened to me the other day. It's funny, actually. I was having pizza with a friend, and we were standing outside
Oh,
finishing
you
our
eating
slice.
pizza with your fly unzipped?
Well, and I was waiting to go into the pizza place to order a pizza. And he said after about 5 minutes, he was like, "Oh, hey, brother, your fly. You can check your fly." But that means that it wasn't visibly open, like a gaping open pair of pants. And when somebody is just passing you by and they immediately see your flies open, you, sir, had your pants off practically.
Well, he was coming up the stairs, so he was eye level. He was eye level with the orifice, if you will.
He got to see what kind of undergarments you'd like to
But the
wear.
way
You know I'm
delivered-
blind. I got like cataracts. Contacts. I got astigmatism, man. I can't see. I'm blind. Where you at? Where you at? See, look. Where you at? Huh? Where you at?
Yeah, that's what it was like. So I'm holding the door for a minute. It was delivery. His delivery was just great. He was like, "Thank you very much. Your fly's unzipped."
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Another day in LA. What
mhm,
can I tell you?
yeah. Okay, I'm
Um,
going to admit it. I was eating pizza with my fly unzipped.
you were
I
eating
did. I
pizza.
was. What happened?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it. Was it better?
It was really good. I can't say that it had anything to do with the fly being unzipped, but I can't say that it didn't.
I'm gonna give it a try. You know, particularly out here in LA, because the pizza in LA is not New York pizza. So
No,
maybe having my fly unzipped will make it better.
we call it pizza al fresco.
Pizza al fresco. And that's our show, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
fine, all right? I'm absolutely fine.
There we go. So the Bear, watching the Bear, loving it. I don't think I've watched anything else. I've just been working.
Yes,
Work,
I have.
work.
I have all.
You're lying!
I'm not lying. I'm not lying, producers. I've been working. Not on the show, obviously.
No, not on this
That's
show.
why we're talking about other things for so long, because we didn't watch the movie this week. No, that's not true. We did watch the movie.
I've seen things. I don't remember what they are. I don't know what I saw. I don't know.
All right. Well, maybe we should talk. We're almost 12 minutes into a show about a movie, and we haven't talked about
We
the
haven't
movie.
even gotten there yet. So let's talk about it. A
All right.
vampire in Brooklyn. And oh, wait a minute. This is an important announcement from our producer, Ilya.
Oh
Um,
my God.
this is our 100th episode.
Wow.
100 episodes.
That's a lot of hours of idiocy and irrelevant babbling.
Proof of it, too, on a record.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something. You know, it's sad we didn't really prep for this. I feel like most people who have their 100th anything, you know, are on top of that. We didn't plan this. Evil wins once again.
If we had planned for it and really done something special and organized, wouldn't that have been completely out of character with what we do on this show?
Yes, you're right.
I
You have a legal mind, and there's no way I can argue with that.
I think our audience would have felt betrayed.
Perhaps. Maybe we should make a big deal out of our 109th show.
Okay, that's the one that will be the big deal.
Okay.
We'll try to do a special movie and have
Right.
we should figure out what movie we can do and get the most guests on
At one time.
You
know why I like that? It means that's the least amount of work for us.
Oh yeah, get other
We'd
people
have to
talking.
say the least.
Yeah, which
So
would
we'll
mean
have
we'd
guests. We'll dress up. We'll have it'll be an extra long show. We'll do a double feature. We'll like really pile on the 109th show. Maybe we should even think of doing a live show on the 109th, like in person.
We are live and in person right now. I'm here, you're there, and the show is live.
Wait a minute, where am I? Who's this?
What do you like? How would it be different than what we're doing now?
I thought we were just on the phone. Is this our show?
This is our show.
Oh my God!
It's live on YouTube, and there are people watching it right.
I'm fine, all right? I'm absolutely fine.
Good. Why didn't anybody stop me?
If I was Donald Trump, I would say that there are thousands of people watching this show right now.
You might say there were dozens.
You're a liar, a thief, and a cheat.
No, that's my brother Miles. I'm the honest one in the family.
Well, that's unfortunate. Because that's what I liked about you.
Oh. Later we'll have a little talk about accents, maybe a little later.
I don't know how much later we can wait on that talk.
No, because I have one other thing to talk about this week. We had this huge Batch 22 party on Saturday night at this beautiful home in the Hollywood Hills with decks and lots of amazing food from Porto's. your dear friend and mine, Olana DiGirolamo. Oh my God, Olana
Let's shove it.
DiGirolamo was
Snap
there.
right.
Snap out of it. Get it together. Yes. Olana DiGirolamo was there. And Bruce, my partner Bruce, got us Batch 22 smoking jackets.
What?
Yeah. Black velour jackets with satin lapels and Batch 22 patches on the breast. Just
I'm putting my order in right now.
Spectacular.
I want all this. I'm getting all the swag. I will pay for it. I'm getting the swag. That
you want the Batch 22 smoking jacket?
I will be my pajamas. Are you kidding me? I've wanted a good smoking jacket since I was 5 years old.
Yeah, it's very cool to have. It was a fun party. Andy Garcia came to the party.
Did he? Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, he came to the party. He had some Batch 22. He hung out. It was just...
I mean, let's be real. Is there a nicer movie star than Andy Garcia?
No,
doesn't exist. A nicer.
No. He's like a guy hanging out at the corner drugstore.
I mean, yeah. To say he's the nicest movie star doesn't even explain it, because he's a notably nice person. That he's a movie star makes it impossible to believe.
Yeah, doesn't come across that way.
Gem of a guy.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about the movie. We're over 15 minutes into the show. We haven't talked about the movie.
Well, I don't think anybody tuned in to hear about this movie. So
no. Vampire in Brooklyn, 1995. Eddie Murphy as a vampire. I'm going to just throw something out there. I think there is the possibility of a brilliant movie inside the skin of this movie. It doesn't appear.
I think
not brilliant, but terrific and fun movie.
Oh, I think you're right, and I think there's proof in that, because they made a movie called Dracula, and it was wonderful.
Well, I wasn't thinking Dracula. I was I was thinking combine Frank Langella's Dracula and Fright Night.
I'm Maximilian, a connoisseur of death, you might say.
What this movie was sort of could have been and failed at miserably. And I mean, it's interesting. I was reading Eddie Murphy and his brother, who is one of the writers, blamed Wes Craven for it not being good, saying that he wanted the comedy, and Wes Craven blamed Eddie Murphy, saying Eddie Murphy would not make this guy real.
Can't play a vampire. Let's really clear the air for a second. And say that.
Can he hire me, Eddie Murphy?
So rare you come across that clean kill nowadays.
I think you've picked a strange time and person to be concerned about this. We've had 100 shows where we have bashed and thrashed every movie we know.
Well, and he dissed Dad too, so screw him.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I look, I'm a big Eddie Murphy fan. And I think he is a kind of a comic genius in many respects. Do I think that he hit a home run playing a vampire in this movie? No.
This tongue of yours has complicated a very simple plan. If it happens again, I'm going to hang you with it. You understand?
But see, the thing is, I would even enjoy that movie that was in there. I could have seen 2 hours of that, but it is a very odd mixture of tones that don't gel together in many respects. I think, though, that you're right. I think that it could have been a really entertaining. I think it could have been a very, very entertaining, kind of flawless movie. And I don't think it was Wes Craven's fault. I think he did a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I like Wes Craven in general. I think he's a much better director and filmmaker than maybe people give him credit for. They They think of Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street, great stuff, but they forget like People Under the Stairs, and then the really early stuff like Hills Have Eyes, and he did for horror some incredible stuff. So he's no slouch.
And you get the feeling it also seems like a movie that our producers are telling us that that Eddie Murphy only agreed to do this if he could do The Nutty Professor. And he also blamed the film's failure on the wig that he wore, which he thought audiences found repulsive. And I don't buy that. I actually thought the wig was the wig was the least of the problems. The application of the wig was a little bit of a problem, and the fact that you could see you could see.
Yeah. It wasn't even very high def at all, and you could see clearly that it was glued onto his head.
Yeah. But I would have overlooked that if his performance worked.
Look,
Put a little heart into it.
I think
that
that
was a disappointing moment to me, because when I saw Mitch Pileggi was in this movie and they killed him right off the bat, I was really disappointed, because I will watch him all day long.
You would see a lot of X-Files. It might take you more than a day.
Yeah, I didn't watch the X-Files, but I like me some Mitch Pileggi.
That's funny, because that's how I mostly know him, is from the X-Files.
From the X-Files. I just know him from guest spots on other things, and he may have also been on Supernatural.
Patron saint of tough guy bald dudes who make it work.
I'm working on that, but it's not happening for me. I'm trying to be that. It's not working.
Maybe it's the cartoon background that's not helping your cause there.
Hey, now, according to our older brother, it's the plaids. He said to me, he said to me the other day, "Hey, buddy, word of advice: solids."
Yeah. For TV or just for life?
Life. He said maybe just some solids.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. Yeah.
So I might work on that. I'm trying to revamp the image. Revamp. Yes.
I see what you're doing. It's so good. It's great. So, okay. What, I thought I actually had a good time here. I actually really was, I don't think it's, it's got a lot of problems with it, but I had a good time. Like, I enjoyed watching this.
How many times have I got to tell you? I'm Anthony. He's Tony.
Yeah. Oh, you're Tony. He was pointing at you. Yeah, exactly. I felt exactly the same way. I thought this is crap, and I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, I mean, there were really good. I think there's some actually surprisingly good sequences in it, and there's some fun filmmaking. That they when Wes Craven really had the ability to kind of create the movie he wanted to make, which I feel is in evidence when Eddie Murphy isn't in the movie. It's pretty good. It's like actually good atmosphere.
Eddie Murphy and the landlord and his sidekick.
Agreed, but I gotta say, even about that, like, I thought that in the movie that Eddie Murphy was making, the landlord and the sidekick were actually great, but I didn't really want to see them in the other movie so much.
No. You got a limo.
That's right. I got a limo.
His sidekick, Murphy's sidekick in this, the Renfield in this, I actually thought was really funny. He made me laugh a lot.
And would have been great if that was the movie we were watching.
Yeah,
You put me in the Monster Union? I'm on Blue Cross.
No, I'm at Blue Shield. Bro.
I think you're right. I think the movie really would have worked at its best if it had been about Renfield, and the love story and the vampire story were ancillary to Renfield's story, because like that version of Renfield was pretty great, and I really I thought Wes Craven did a great job of doing. I think the hardest part about it he did well, and for me the hardest part about it. Thank you. Kadeem Hardison plays Renfield in this movie. I don't have my glasses on, and I don't have.
It's not Renfield.
I've been
The
idiot.
character's not Renfield, but it's the Renfield.
Yeah, the
Trump.
Renfield. This is
Yeah.
basically Dracula, brought into the modern time in the 90s in Brooklyn, obviously, and it's kind of the classic vampire story. There's not really a Van Helsing plot, but there's kind of a Van Helsing character played by Zeke Smokai, who I'm a huge fan of. So I already like this
Spectacular.
movie because he's in it. I love him, and I think anything he's in is worth checking out.
Yeah, he's spectacular.
But you know what I mean?
You know what he
Like,
brings? He brings gravitas.
he does. And is that smoked salmon, or is that no? Forgive me, that's something else. That's gravlax.
Gravlaxitas is very heavily smoked salmon.
If you're hungry, I'll run you down to KFC down the
I already had to tell you.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Now, when Eddie Murphy isn't being the vampire, for instance, when Eddie Murphy was the preacher, because the vampire character takes over other people sometimes and embodies them, and so you get this Nutty Professor thing where he gets to put on makeup and be a 250-pound preacher, in a thing. And the funny part of that is he can't go into a church because he's a vampire. So he has to bring the congregation outside, and he gives what I think is actually a really funny sermon. And that part was hysterical, I thought.
That was very funny. Again, didn't belong in this movie. Angela Bassett and Alan Payne are in a different movie than everybody else.
And weren't they really good? Wasn't that movie really good?
I thought Angela Bassett
he terrific too?
They were both spectacular. And I wanted to, I was like, I kept feeling like, stop interrupting that movie.
I felt that way too. I thought they brought, that was the part of the movie where I was like, how is it going to feel translating this to a New York urban setting? Because there's been so many silly versions of it with that's not a knife, this is a knife. We got Crocodile Dundee, and
right.
This is coming to America essentially. I mean, really, I don't know if that actually. Here I did great research. I don't know if Coming to America was first or not, but this is the same movie.
I think Coming to America was first, and people view this somewhat as a rewrite of Coming to America.
That's right. Yeah, of course it was first, because Coming to America came out when I was a young lad, and this is already
a lot of really special backlot stuff in this movie, though.
Well, yeah, but they had to. I mean,
because it was so bad they weren't allowed to shoot in New York, or what?
No, they were doing some wire effects and stunts and stuff that they're only going to really do on the back lot there.
Right.
But it's a good looking movie, man. I mean, it's.
I'm getting ready to put that shit on you.
You better shut up.
Here I come. Oh, you're not afraid. Oh, got my fucking eye.
That's to me. I like that. I thought that was great. I could really roll with that. I walked away actually kind of rooting for this movie in a weird way. Like, it's a mess. He's not a great vampire for me, but I'd still kind of recommend it for the stuff that we liked. I thought was good enough to be like, look, it's actually better than you think it is. It's not. I'm not saying like we got it wrong when people said this movie wasn't very good back then. We didn't really get it wrong, but I think maybe people were a little meaner towards it than they could, because you could look at this as a compromise movie with some very funny scenes and enjoy it rather than like, oh, this is a bad Eddie Murphy movie. I just think that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah. But the whole vampire thing that Eddie Murphy was trying, I feel like he was trying to do what Chris Sarandon did successfully in Fright Night, which was the suave Better. We have a question from the producers. Better vampire, Eddie Murphy or Nick Cage? Well, Nick Cage wasn't actually a vampire. Nick Cage was just a psychotic.
Not actually.
Hey,
That's a trick question.
They're trying to trick. Alexis is trying to trick us.
But I still would have to say Nick Cage because I don't. Look, there were a couple of scenes where Murphy just didn't really look like he was comfortable. Like he didn't really know what the bit was. Like he rarely looks like he doesn't know where to take the comedy or how to do it. Like that's just, he usually is like in a really good pocket. And this was super hit or miss. He didn't seem himself to know if he was comfortable doing it. I maybe could be making that up, but that's what it kind of looked like to me. And he hadn't played a character like this before. It was way outside of anything he'd really done before. And that's not to say he couldn't do it, but he couldn't do it.
No, he couldn't do it. And the heart of the plot in this film, the heart of the plot is the seduction scene.
It's huge. It's got to happen.
That's got to happen, and you've got to believe that he is going to be able to enthrall this woman into saying yes.
Right, and that only has to be because they really did set up half the movie pretty seriously, where Angela Bassett believes this, and her partner is like a real person who's really invested.
Yeah, and that's where I missed Frank Langella.
Yeah,
because he would have pulled that off to the nines. You know, you would have bought that seduction. And Eddie Murphy can't do it.
Well, I've been stabbed, and I've been hanged, and I've been burned, even broken on the rack once, but I've never been shot before.
Well, I think they made a pretty clinical error with it, like in terms of how much funnier to me, or how much more it would have worked if they had gone down the route of this vampire arriving in Brooklyn, but because it's Brooklyn and because it's New York, it just doesn't go the way he wants it to. Like that, it just doesn't work. That his Renfield turns out to be like this kind of hustler guy who's kind of hustling him,
right?
You know, who gives him a lot of lip and attitude, which is hysterical. And like just that like to see Brooklyn take Dracula, just kind of take him downtown and like ruin his plan. That seems like it would have been kind of funny, but they really did look like they were trying to have their cake and eat it as well, not just two. Because he was playing very, very broad comedy beats, like pulling the guy's tongue out from like a Joe Dante movie, which works in a Joe Dante movie, but not when the next scene is supposed to be like him literally being menacing, romantic, vampiric kind of guy. And that you have to sell those things.
Yeah.
You don't really believe that guy at that point. And in a way, you're kind of like, why didn't he decide to be the boy, like the cop, and then have just a humorless, scary guy play the vampire? Maybe more effective.
Oh, so like the Beverly Hills Cop type.
Yeah, like action. he's the he's trying to get his girlfriend away from, the woman he loves, away from this psychotic vampire who, now, like, I'll tell you, my recast for the vampire would be Tony Todd. Like, I'd put Tony Todd.
I had Idris Elba.
And just have okay, same idea. But play it like you're not funny. You're not taking this funny, but that doesn't mean everything has to go right for him. It could be, but he can't. I don't think that the Dracula being the comedy relief it works.
Who did you cast as the uncle in the recast?
I didn't get that far. I had a hard day. I really did.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I had a hard day trying to cast an actual thing, and then this one just didn't make it.
I actually did the recast. I did Idris Elba.
Okay.
I did Nicholas Walker as the female cop. Do you know her, Nicola Walker?
I believe so. What is she? Wait, is she from? She's not from
British actor. She was in.
No.
Yeah, she's a British actor.
Blacklist.
No, she was in Last Tango in Halifax. She was in Marcella. No, not Marcella. Silent Wit, not Silent, Unforgotten, a British show called Unforgotten. Anyway,
which
she's a
I said is unremembered.
Never mind. She's a wonderful actor. Michael Ealy as her partner.
Okay.
Amy Aquino as the lieutenant. Joanna Cassidy.
Good.
And
all good.
I would watch this movie with Ozzie Davis and Chris Rock as the uncle and the nephew.
Oh, perfect. That's brilliant. That's perfect. That's pretty perfect. I like that a lot. I got as far as Tony Todd, Keke Palmer, and Daniel Kaluuya. I thought Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya from Nope could reteam to be the cop duo in this, and then keep the vampire scary Candyman style. Tony Todd was great in Candyman. Did you ever see Candyman?
I didn't see Candyman, but I've met Tony Todd and had dinner with him a couple of times.
No, really?
He is the sweetest guy.
Did you do a reading with him or something? Or
I didn't work with him, but a friend of mine was directing him in a play about a boxer, Jack. I'm forgetting the name of the boxer, but it was an African American boxer, like in the 20s, who was, I think, the 20s and 30s, who was a huge deal and became really big in France, and but had a hard time here in America. A really fascinating story about this guy. And Tony Todd did readings and I think a production of it, and I got to spend some time with him. Sweet.
Users are asking Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson, yes.
Yeah. I would see that movie for sure. So he was a nice guy. That's not surprising to me. And his interviews are always, he seems really like very kind of.
And I will also say this. I'll also say this about him: not short.
He doesn't come off short in the movies.
Not a short, small fellow.
He looks like a fully grown, tall man.
Imposing fella.
Yeah. Well, so imagine that put to use to a really, really good horror movie where he plays the supernatural villain.
Yeah.
Like, he's great. He's great in it. We should cover that movie.
Any sequences that you found particularly?
Hey man, you can't do that shit while I'm driving, B.
Shut the fuck up!
Shit, folks, I'm driving.
God damn it!
The fuck, you give me a brain aneurysm or something? What the fuck was that? Damn, man, you put somebody out like that.
You see, the scene made me laugh. If that had nothing to do with anything else, that scene alone would make me laugh. And when he goes, "God damn it!" I actually it was funny.
It was funny, but I don't think it was funny for the reasons they want. I don't think that was the effect they were going for at certain points. I think the Renfield was supposed to be the funny part, and him going, "God damn it," was supposed to be like.
Well, but it was supposed to be or not, the way he did that line made me laugh, and there's no way he didn't know he was being funny when he said, "God damn it!" It was.
God damn it! It was it was like he was channeling a little Schwarzenegger there. Shut the fuck up! God damn it!
Schwarzenegger at the Second Avenue Deli.
Yeah. Yeah, where he was known to hang out.
So I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go to bat really heavily for two sequences in this, and they're both like the dreamy sequences where she starts.
I think we're gonna agree.
Info, Happy Meal. Go ahead.
That scene was better in Vampire's Kiss for sure.
Yeah.
But I thought the scenes where she is slips into a dream state and she's starting to get seduced by him, and it turns very kind of surreal, and she's she wakes up and you're surprised that she's in bed. There's two, and they're both amazing.
That's spectacular, and the moment where she sees herself disappear in the mirror.
Great. It's great. It's great. And she's great in that scene too. She reacts to the way she reacts to it. And
it also gave me the hint, like I was going, well, she's been bitten by the vampire. How are we going to get out of this? And when that happened, I went, oh, okay, now I know how we're going to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
She's halfway there.
Yeah.
And unless she does something, which we'll find out what it is, she won't be all the way transformed.
And here's the thing. I thought those parts of it were interesting enough and played with the vampire lore in an interesting way enough. And that Wes Craven got to make enough of a legit vampire movie where it was possible here, to make it like worth seeing for that stuff. Even though it's so compromised, I still feel like it's legitimately a worthwhile movie to see for fans of the genre, because
all with only the most minor of side effects.
Shit! Hey!
That's a funny. That guy's funny.
It is funny. But you're right. For fans of the genre, it plays with the tropes enough to give you something to chew on. There was one place where I felt like they made a mistake, and maybe you'll be able to explain to me why it wasn't a mistake. But to me, the fact that he is able to touch her necklace and rip it off of her, I wouldn't think he'd be able to mistake. Now the way they deal with that brilliantly. I know I keep going back to this, but in Fright Night, when Roddy McDowall grabs the crucifix and holds it out to Chris Sarandon, and it has no effect, and you think, oh, they're breaking the rules, and Chris Sarandon says, you have to have faith for that to work on me, old man. And I thought, okay, that's brilliant, because they're taking the trope and expanding on it. They're saying it's not the symbol, it's the belief in the symbol that gives it its power. And I bought that.
I did too. And Fright Night it's a really good movie. I mean, that's a wonderful film. And the remake is quite good too.
I haven't seen the remake.
Yeah, the remake is a solid movie, I think. Quite
Who's
good.
in the remake?
Colin Farrell plays the vampire, and he's really good in it. And Anton Yelchin plays the young kid, and he's terrific. I mean, sad. I still miss him. He's great.
That is, that you can't bring that name up without heartbreak.
No, dude, what a career he had and would have had. It's really sad, but it's really good. It's a really good movie.
Apparently, Nick Cage is playing Dracula in a new movie, Renfield.
I heard a rumor about that. I didn't know it was true. That's really exciting.
Our producers just let me know. I'm looking forward to covering that movie on this show in about 30 years.
You know what? Because of our track record with Vampire's Kiss, I think we should make an exception and see that movie and review it. Just because,
when it comes out.
Just when it comes out. But here's the thing I was thinking.
Wow, that's daring.
What's interesting?
You little scared piece of shit.
What's interesting about this movie too is that it does do a few of those things, not as heavy as that with Fright Night. Like Fright Night does actually think about the vampire rules more deeply than this movie does. But I think what this movie did was capture, and I think it's really all, thanks to her, the seduction part of it, and the lure of it, of being seduced by the dark side, by the vampire. I thought Angela Bassett did a better job than any actor I've seen in a vampire movie depicting that process, and then when she turns, because she does turn pretty much full vampire in this movie for a while, which is a great device, which doesn't happen much to the other, Mina Harkers or the other, wait, is it Mina Harker or the other Minas? And she she owns that part of it, man. When the makeup and the fangs on her, when she goes, full vampire, she's fantastic. Like she makes up for the vampire stuff that Eddie Murphy can't quite do, I think.
I also want to give a shout out to the fang designer in this movie.
Great
the
stuff.
Fangs are
They're great.
Spectacular.
Yeah,
they're not
well designed.
cartoonish.
No. And even though he has like gap teeth, and that's a kind of a funny look for a vampire, which I thought they'd make more of, but they didn't.
A gap tooth. All right. Any moments or shots or anything that
Don't even do that. You rip my shirt, man.
Look at this shit.
That's my arm.
He taking care of you.
You put that back on.
Now you're the fugitive.
I ain't no
Come on, man. Let's get
fugitive.
the hell out of here.
Well, put that
Shit,
back on.
that pain is
It's
alive.
my shit. I need this shit, man. You can't just snatch a brother arm.
Now you're the fugitive.
No, you're the fugitive.
I laughed
not
at
even
that.
not even correct. It is the
No.
fugitive. It's the
It's
real
the movie,
fugitive.
but he's the fugitive. The killer is
chasing
the
the
one-armed
one-armed-
man.
Right. The
I
blood blood out of the keyhole I loved.
Good moment. Also, my favorite moment, hands down.
Hands down when the hands went down.
No, different.
When he puts
That's a
his
phrase.
hands-
No, that's just a phrase that people use when they mean like ultimate, the moment, the best moment.
Oh,
wins.
got it. Okay.
Yeah. Put your hands down. Actually, no, show me your hands.
Hands up.
And I don't usually like violence against animals, even as a joke and stuff, but he does something to a police dog in this movie that floored me. And it was a great visual gag. It's a great effect. It's shocking. It's surprising. It's fun.
Jump.
Killer?
It's great. And I thought that was priceless. That was my favorite single moment.
Okay.
I also find there's one funny element to this movie where I guess Eddie Murphy's brother, I'm not getting the feeling, for instance, that Eddie Murphy and his brother are foodies. I don't think they know a lot about food, because there's a couple of great moments where, for instance, he says, he goes, "What kind of wine do you like?" And she goes, "I only drink red wine." And he goes, "Oh, my favorite." It's like,
Yeah.
okay. And then he says, "Come up and I'll cook you dinner. I make incredible fusilli." And she goes, "Fusilli is my favorite."
Yeah. Fusilli is a shape of pasta.
It's a shape of pasta.
Yeah. It's not.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. Shape.
It's like
of pasta.
saying, "Oh, I love noodles."
Yeah. I love noodles.
Well,
or like saying,
yeah.
not saying I make a fantastic sandwich, but I use rye bread really well.
Exactly. Yeah. You wouldn't believe what I did to some mayonnaise. Like, what do you? That's not food.
If you're hungry,
I don't know.
whoa, easy, B. I'm just looking for my eye. My eye. It came out my head.
I think I got your ear.
Oh, damn, I said, watch your step, nigga. Shit, you done mashed my shit all up.
You see him cracking up in that scene? He's cracking up in that scene.
Yeah.
He's losing it, right? I'm not mistaken.
I think
am
so. I think he is.
Yeah.
Gotta give props to the effects masters and the rigging crew who did the boat crashing into the dock in the beginning.
Spectacular. The whole boat sequence at the top, I adore.
Great stuff. I mean, great stuff. That's the kind of thing that made me go, wow, I really wish Wes Craven had been able to make a complete vision of his with that much money, that budget in New York, and just tell exactly the vampire story he wanted to tell. Because I think the things that are really good about this movie are all Wes Craven. I really do.
I have a question for you. Do you think that the narration was in the script, or do you think it was added by the studio afterwards? Because the
Why do
narration
you
makes
ask?
no sense. Because the narration.
Interesting.
Okay, I hated that effect.
I did
hated
too. That was
effect.
bad.
Totally unnecessary to do it that way. It would have been so much more effective to see him getting up off the ground rather than some bowling pin rising up.
Yeah, or something else like a wolf coming up out of the ground, which he can turn into and they never use again, which was
right.
why.
But the reason my question about the narration is the narration is in the past tense. He dies at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
To the 25th power!
He dies at the end of the, so where is the point of view of the narration?
You say good question, sir.
Thank you. It's my
That is,
my legal brain at work
I have
here.
no answer, and therefore I must leave the program. I do
Yeah.
not know.
3 years of law school, and that's what we have to show for it.
I think
No wonder
that
mom and dad won't speak to me anymore.
here's my
No,
guess.
Mom, I'm kidding.
My guess is that it would have been added later because I think if it had been, I don't know. It sounds like the kind of thing Wes Craven, who's pretty literary guy, would have picked up on. Like that's just kind of not something he would have not seen, and so maybe they added that. The studio did it later.
Because
Yeah,
if you're narrating, you have to be narrating from some place in which you exist.
yeah. There are also really funny like weird moments that are in the script, I guess, that don't work. There's a great it turns out Angela Bassett's mother is connected to this story. Her mother was a sociologist or something and studied cultures in the Caribbean, I guess, like early cultures there. And it's mentioned like an article or something that you see early on. Her name or mother's name is mentioned or something, but it never really comes up. And then she's walking down the street with her partner. And like all cop partners eventually turn to each other and out of the blue say like, it's weird. Why don't you ever tell me stories about your mother? Like what?
I say that all the time to people.
What? I mean, not that I don't want to hear about somebody's mother, but you don't literally turn and go, why don't you? It's weird. You never say anything about your mother. She's like, I'm a cop. Why would I talk about my mother? You're my partner. Why would that have anything to do with anything? I thought that was pretty funny. Then it turns out she has something to do with the plot. Because weren't her and Zake Smokai involved?
Yeah, well, he was in love with her, but she left him for a vampire.
As happens so frequently in this world.
Well, and I got to tell you, I've been in that situation. You do not get over that easily.
Somebody falling for a vampire?
No, it's when the woman you're in love with falls for a vampire. I mean, I had a big stake in that relationship, and she left me for. Well, never mind. I don't know where I was going.
I don't either. I'm
embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
If you get left for a vampire, that it actually isn't that bad because you really can't. I mean, if somebody's interested in a vampire, you can't. There's nothing you could do. Like you're like, well, I'm not.
Our producers,
Maximilian, a connoisseur of death, you might say.
Our own producers just gave me a thumbs down. Oh my God.
They call it like they see it.
Sophia's just.
She was disgusted. She that's not even what she wanted to do. She legally had to give you a thumbs down. She wanted to throw her computer.
And our other producer is saying that he has a real picture of a vampire attack. I would believe that, except there aren't any such things as vampires. There might be people who think they're vampires.
And you ever seen one?
A vampire? Oh, all right. Okay.
They actually did dig up something recently in somewhere like Romania. That's great.
Oh, talk about a gap-toothed vampire. Oh my God.
I love that.
That's our very own Sophia Rosinski about to bite her sister's neck, or it's photoshopped to make it look like she's about to bite her sister's neck. Bite
Yeah.
Alexis.
Darn,
I want
nope.
a copy of that framed on my wall.
That's it's the poster. It's the teaser poster for a new film.
Oh my gosh.
This
That
is great.
is
Okay,
wow.
so yeah, I think that what this movie would be sad if the movie weren't fun, but it is kind of fun if you're not taking things too seriously. And then it is just kind of a nice example of what might have happened if Wes Craven got to fulfill his complete dream with this. But I wonder if he even cared. I mean, I wonder how much he cared at the point where it was like he knew Eddie Murphy was going to be doing his thing, and they were going to have arguments about things. And clearly, they didn't have a great relationship. I mean, if Eddie Murphy is blaming the director and the hair on things, I'm guessing it was not a fun shoot, which is too bad.
Yeah. All right, we do have to do one thing though. I'm sorry, producers, can we have that photograph back, because they've put a disclaimer saying not Photoshop, and if that's not Photoshop, my question is this: Sophia is behind Alexis, and yet her head is much bigger than Alexis's head in that photograph. How does that?
Vampires' heads are bigger.
Alexis is saying, "Have you seen her head?" Oh my God! I'm glad I'm not up at their house tonight, because there's gonna be a fight.
Do you have any? Do you have any favorite
I have
lines?
favorite lines, man. I have many favorite lines. Ahoy, motherfucker!
Okay, good.
It's not Photoshop. It's angles. They're telling me. I don't buy it. Ahoy, motherfucker! You ain't got to pull that Blackula shit with me.
Yes.
Well, if there's no one else, I would love to have you for dinner.
I don't drink wine. It's like the I don't drink wine line.
I don't drink wine. Yeah.
Dracula.
One cop saying to another cop, "It's not just the bodies or the ear. I got a strange feeling about this case." But the best line of all, women.
Yeah,
when she goes running out because she doesn't want to turn into a vampire, and his line is women.
Did that just crack you up?
No, I was like, come on.
A couple of funny lines when Renfield takes Angela Bassett away from her partner in the limousine, and he just turns around to him and he goes, "Take your ass to Blockbuster and get a video." It's like, for some reason, that cracked me up.
That's pretty good.
I will say,
You got a limo.
Fusilli is my favorite. Is pretty damn funny. But
Fusilli.
There is a great line in the sequence where he plays the preacher, I think, where he goes, he's talking about evil being good, and he has this whole long monologue about how bad is good and evil is right. And he goes, necessary evil. It sounds crazy. It sounds like stripes and plaids.
Yeah. That was pretty good. Stripes and plaids. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
I already have a coffin of my own.
We've covered my stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, what can we say? We're both a little tired. We probably could have had more to say. I think you're both somewhat more to say, because I don't know. I feel like I feel a little annoyed at like the idea of this movie was it was a flop, and people like started it. When any movies are really a flop, that's when the star and the director start pointing fingers and saying why things didn't work.
Right.
It's like, that's a movie that didn't do well. And what's a shame is that it kind of has this reputation for just being a bad movie. But I feel like kind of being a champion for the part of it that actually is kind of good, because what was working wasn't only good, but did something I didn't think would work. The stuff that worked, I didn't think was gonna work, and they made it work. Like placing this in Brooklyn in the first place, I was like, this is gonna be. I'm not gonna be able to invest in this as a real thing. I did. So kudos to Angela Bassett and for the actors that showed up and actually decided to take it seriously, because that part of it, that part of it's funny, and the stuff that's stupid and funny is also stupid and funny. What can I say?
Yeah,
I have no taste in film.
We have failed in that we have not decided what we're doing for 101st episode, have we? We don't have.
You're lying.
Well, we're not done with the show.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
in the next few minutes.
There was something last week that you said we had to do, and I'm not remembering what it was.
You asked. You think I'm going to remember last week? I don't know what happened.
20 minutes ago.
20 minutes ago. In the next few minutes, if anybody online watching or the producers have an idea for a interesting horror themed movie that we could cover for
horror,
you,
right? Because it's Halloween.
Yeah, I felt like we had a great run of movies, but it's October, so either we do something so different, or we cover horror movies.
Sophia is asking us, Halloween vampire pop quiz. What is a group of vampires called? What?
Oh,
come on. What is it, Sophia?
It's called a gaggle.
Oh, well, I knew that. A coven or we knew that. We thought this was like a joke of some kind. Come on. I thought you thought you were setting us up for a joke.
It's
the Fearless Vampire Killers. Now that sounds like something to watch. Who's in that, producers?
That's of Roman Polanski.
Oh no, we can't do Roman Polanski.
I don't think we really should.
No. The Haunting? What is The Haunting?
I think Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is a great idea.
All right, let's do Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Okay.
I'm totally down with that.
I would do that.
All right. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, ladies and gentlemen, next
God love
week.
you, God loves me. Bye.
I think that's a perfect wrap up to the show. God love you, God love me. Bye.
Talking about cocktails that are stylish, movies great or phony, and how Tony should win and Matthew should win a Tony. But in the meantime, talking about film in the meantime. The Arkin brothers talk about movies.